All right, we're recording. Welcome to another episode of the Kinks and Beauty podcast. Hey, Jess, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. So, my name's Brittany Ogike. I feel like we never introduced ourselves, so I'm going to do another intro for new listeners. My name's Brittany Ogike. I'm the founder of Beauty Bees. Beauty Bees is an elevated beauty supply located in North Hollywood, aka Los Angeles, California. And I have my lovely co host, Jessica Houston, who pretty much helps me. She's like a second me. Helps me run the store. She's our VP of operations. She knows all the ins and outs of Beauty Bees, the services, the products, the employees, everything. So we decided a few years ago to start a podcast to talk about, the ins and outs of the beauty industry from the perspective of Black women actually working in the industry. So we give our unfiltered opinion on literally anything and everything dealing with hair, beauty, Black culture, women's rights, all of the above. So that's what we're here for. We are in season 3 of the Kinks and Beauty podcast, and I'm just excited to be here. I thank you so much, Jess, for agreeing to do this. I always say that. I'm like, I have an idea, and just like rolls her eyes and is like, "What is it? What do I have to do now?" I feel like Jess is like the guinea pig, but we're here.
I
I mean,
am.
this is
Listen,
season
I've
3.
always that's the role that I've played for most of my life is being the guinea pig because I am a younger sibling. So I feel like Brittany's also an older sibling, so she has like big sister energy too. So anything that I'm just like, okay, if now I will say if I don't like it, I'm gonna be like, I don't like this. I'm not gonna guinea pig that. But
Yes, she's very
most
opinionated. Yeah.
I am. Most of Brittany's ideas, I'm like, okay, let's just try it. Because I mean, don't know that you're not gonna like it unless you don't try it at least once, and then if it's a fail, then it's not gonna happen.
Right. And like I feel like in doing this podcast, I had the idea because I'm a huge podcast fan. I listen to all of them across all industries. And I feel like a voice like ours was lacking in the whole like beauty podcast segment. There are tons of beauty podcasts out there. There aren't as many done by women of color. And there are a few really great podcasts hosted by Black women, but it's a different perspective, right? So I feel like we're looking at it through the lens of working in a hair store, interacting with our customers every day, and kind of hearing what their concerns are. Talking about the discussions that are being had in our store. We have a beauty bar where we do hair braiding. So there's lots of conversations about just our culture in general, and we just wanted to bring that to you, bring it to the masses. We're not editors. We don't get pitch products, pitch brands. We're not paid to talk about certain brands, talk about certain products. We're really giving you guys like our authentic viewpoints on the state of the industry. So, with that being said, let's dive into today's topic. So we talked about it our last episode, we kind of touched on it with our Day of Hot Topics episode. But today, let's do a deeper dive into the whole thing around like influencer led brands, influencers in beauty, and what that industry looks like now. And we're bringing this up because there's been a lot of talk on social media about Tarte's Dubai trip. Have you seen it, Jess?
I have.
Okay.
Okay.
So basically, for our listeners who aren't aware, Tarte decided to take I think it was about 20 influencers with their plus ones to Dubai. But this was a very like luxury extravagant trip. Like it got people talking. Like everyone's wondering, like, do they have the coins for this? Who is even wearing Tarte cosmetics anymore? Why are they doing this now? So like Jess and I just decided to have a conversation around it because it's what the people are talking about. A lot of people are kind of like an uproar, which is kind of odd. I think also there's a lot of hating going on, people wishing that they was on that trip. Um, so so yeah, I mean, basically what happened was they took all these people to Dubai. They flew them first class. They're staying at the Ritz in Dubai. They have all these excursions, and apparently people are saying Tarte can't pay for that. What are your thoughts, Jess?
Okay, so I read an article about what they got. Okay, so listen, they got airfare, room and board, meals covered, excursions, a closet full of clothes, and they got to bring a plus one, all for free. What?
Okay. So
Like,
here's the thing. Here's the thing. First of all, we don't know, Tarte's budgets, right? But
correct.
from my experience in the industry and what I've heard over the years, these brands have huge marketing budgets, like huge. We're looking at, like, we're a small business, right? I like to kind of consider us as a startup. I don't even like to say we're a small business because that's not where we'll be forever. But, we don't have $1 million marketing budgets like a lot of these cosmetics companies. And Tarte has been around for a while. And also, all brands do these types of trips for their influencers, but historically they've been flying out editors. And editors are unlikely to post all the gifts and trips and comps that they get just from being an editor. So I think there's more visibility now, and now people are like raising their brow because they've never seen it before. But it's actually been happening in the beauty industry for a very long time. And someone pointed out, like, because their marketing budgets are so big, and I'm talking about just these beauty brands as a whole, ever since influencer marketing has become a thing, they've been spending millions of dollars to pay influencers for content. So instead of spending $1 million to pay 20 influencers for this structured content that they're asking, what they're doing instead with that money, and I think making a really good investment and a really good judgment call on, like, the state of the industry is, hey, let's fly you out. Let's give you this experience. We're not going to pay you, but we're going to give you this beautiful, luxurious experience. And because of the type of people you are, quote unquote influencers with millions of followers, you're going to want to show your audience what you're doing, because that's like your job on a daily. Like, that's what you do on a daily. So you're going to want to show your audience that you've got flued out by Tarte to Dubai and you're staying at the Ritz. So it's, in a way, it's kind of like free marketing for them.
It is free marketing. But I think the first question that I always ask myself is, what the fuck is an influencer? Like, what are you influencing? Like, is social media itself, is that the influence that people have coined the term influencer, because now you have all these people looking in on your everyday life and you're now getting paid for, like, it, the whole concept is so
Because we're millennials
asinine to
and
me.
we're not being as influenced as much as maybe other people
Pro-
are. But I would
yes.
argue maybe we're influenced in other ways, maybe not necessarily beauty, but
Okay.
maybe in other areas, maybe food and wellness and fitness, and
So
so I mean, with that being go ahead.
is social media, okay, so social media itself is just a big bowl of influence, because no, you're right, I don't get influenced by what beauty influencers post on their page, but I do get influenced on what I'm going to cook tonight for dinner, like things like, so social
See?
media itself is just a big bowl of influence, and you take from it what you will. But I think the idea of these beauty influencers specifically, or the word influencer in and of itself is just, it's mind blowing to me that these people get all this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but here's the thing. People think, and you know this, we just talked about this. We're trying to create more content. It's hard. It's a job. Like, these
It is
people
a
are
job
literally, filming themselves, editing it, posting it,
all
developing
day.
content all day. So I mean, it's a job, and like it's working to a certain extent. And what we're going to talk about is, how successful have these influencers been over their careers and with like them launching new brands. But in the past, like when this whole thing started, influencers were used by brands to help create awareness of a brand's products and drive sales of a brand's products, right? And it was working. It's still working. Look at what Alex Earl did to Miel Cosmetics. You know what I mean? Well, Miel Hair Care. Look at what she did. She sold out an entire hair growth oil line because of one video. So
And
we are
she was
still,
on this trip.
yes, and she was on this trip because of her
Mm-hmm.
influence. She influenced an entire group of people to go buy this specific hair oil and pretty much caused all this, controversy and this whole community of like outrage. So like we are being influenced, but it's just like to what extent, right? And I think
Right.
that's like the larger conversation that brands are having, because now these creators, these content creators have, been trying to find ways to monetize their fan base, monetize their audience by creating their own brands and launching their own products. And some of them have not done so well. They've had great launches, but they just haven't been able to sustain their success. So, that points to the question, is the influencer led brand here to stay, or is it just a trend that's slowly but surely fizzling out? And we can speak to, a lot of these other influencer brands that had these, meteoric rises and, extravagant launches, but in the end aren't doing as well. Like we talked about Addison Rae's, I think it's Item Beauty, her brand. Addison Rae has over 80 million followers. 80
Who is that?
million followers.
I don't
Addison
even
Rae,
know
you
who
don't
that
remember
is.
Addison Rae? Oh my gosh, she's the I, this people gonna hate me for this. The culture vulture. Remember, she
The
and like her friends
dance. The
got famous off of that
dance.
TikTok video, that TikTok dance. Yeah,
Yes. Okay. That
Renegade.
the black girl
She was
created.
not right. She was not the creator of the
Okay.
Renegade, but
The
she
renegade.
decided
Mm-hmm.
to
I sound so old.
do, yeah, some the dance and got famous off of that. And she's amassed 80 million followers, and she launched this beauty brand. However, it's not being sold at Sephora anymore, and it's shuttering. And again, the girl has 80 million followers. So why is this brand not as successful as, some of these other uh brands? I mean, I think that's the question at large. And I can kind of give my 2 cents to it, but I mean, eh, I have a certain perspective, and we'll talk about that perspective in a minute. But one, if the brand was shitty, the brand was shitty. Maybe, and a lot of times these like celebrity led, influencer led brands are pretty much white labels. And it's just all kinds of it's the same brand that you see. It's the same type of formulations, but the marketing is different.
Mm-hmm.
This one has Addison
It's just the
Rae's face on it.
packaging.
One of them has another influencer's face. Yeah, it's a packaging. It's a story, quote unquote, behind the brand, whatever. It's BS, really. And so I think the consumer is getting more savvy and kind of realizing, hey, they're just doing this to monetize their audience, to capitalize off of, the new wave of influencers and things like that. So they're trying the products and realizing that they suck and going back to the products that they originally fell in love with. That's what I think. What are your thoughts, Jess?
I also think that everyone is getting the exact same product, and it's
Mm-hmm.
made somewhere overseas or in not the greatest conditions. And people, like, I remember vividly when Jacqueline Hill launched her, like, it was her own, it was her own brand. And it was it was like a lipstick, some lipsticks or something, and it was so much
Mm-hmm.
controversy over it. It had like little glass pixels in a lot of the lipsticks. There was hair, there was so many obscene things. So it's like, I think the consumer themselves are starting to get a little bit wiser and be like, I feel like I just bought this same palette or this same whatever a month ago, stood in line at whatever or waited online and I wasn't able to get it. When I finally got it, it's something that I already have, which is why I never got into makeup, because I feel like all of them are, if you have one, you have them all. It's not, nothing makes them different. So,
Right. I
yeah,
mean, and you bring up Jaclyn Hill because she was kind of like one of the first to have her own makeup brand, which was launched by this kind
Morphe.
of yeah, Morphe, which is also
Hmm.
like the parent company of Morphe and Jaclyn Hill is former brands. They just filed for bankruptcy. We talked about Morphe last week shuttering, and Jaclyn Hill I think is shuttering too or pausing. They're doing something, but it's back to what you said, like they're just slapping a label on whatever was already existing. There's no innovation, there's no intentionality in the branding and well in the products that they're coming out with. And again, it's the same old, and sometimes not even they're not even doing their due diligence. Like you said, Jaclyn Hill had some issues with some of her first product launches because her and her team weren't doing their due diligence and making sure the formulations were right. It was, created in, whatever the industry standards are. And I think that's kind of what's wrong with a lot of these influencer led brands. They're not doing their homework. They're just trying to, capitalize off of, what's hot and new right now and what's like a get rich quick scheme. And I
Make a
don't think the
quick dollar.
consumers, right. I don't think the consumers are here for it anymore. So yeah, I mean, that's going on. Again, there are a lot of brands that are well, a lot of influencer led brands that are shuttering or pausing or whatever PR spin they want to put on it, shutting down. But at the same time, like I want to kind of like transition. First of all, Jess, I have to pause this. I have to go get my charger because my computer is about to die. So give me 1 minute.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. By the way, I'm gonna go into like the like black influencers are being left out of the conversation. That's where I'm heading to.
Okay. I'm so hungry. I need some coffee.
Do you ever plug your computer up thinking that it charged and it was not charging? That's what happened to me.
Well, how you did that? What?
I don't know. It was on my charger all morning and it wasn't charged. I mean, it was must not have been plugged in. I'm like, I got my computer. I'm like, what? Like 20%? So annoying. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ready?
Yes.
So, what I've noticed out of this conversation and like all the articles that I've read and all the headlines that have been coming out, even this Dubai trip, there's a there's a lack of black influencers, that are being flued out like this, that are in the conversation of influencer led brands. And I'm like, I want to know why. Like, so I tried to like figure out all the black influencer led brands there were out there. And I honestly only came up with three, and I will tell you who they
That
are.
is so
Jackie
sad.
Aina's Forever Mood, so sad. Jackie Aina's Forever Mood candle. I think it's being sold in Sephora. I think it's still in Sephora. And I think she's going to launch a lot of some other like luxury wellness products around that candle line. So I hope she's doing well. I hope she's super successful, but that's one of them that I found. And and the thing about it is she's known as a beauty influencer, and she's done some collabs with other cosmetic companies. So I was kind of shocked when I heard her coming out with a candle line because I thought it was a huge pivot to what she's known for. But maybe it's something that she's actually more passionate about, and maybe that's why it's doing so well. So we have Jackie's brand. We have a brand that we sell in store called Curl Days. This is one of our top selling brands. It's the founder is a black hair influencer. Her name's Robin Atwater, and the brand is doing phenomenally well. She has distribution. I think she's in Target now. She's
Mm.
killing it in the natural hair care lane, and yeah, I think she's doing great, and she's beautiful. Her products are so good. I use them all the time. I use them on my daughter's hair. Again, like I said, it's one of our top selling brands at Beauty Bees. So she's doing well. And then there's another one. We don't sell it at our store, but I believe they're in Target. It's Melanin Hair Care by Whitney, I believe is her name. I just know her by Natural because I remember when I did my first big chop and I went natural the first time. She's like one of the OG beauty influencers, hair bloggers. She has like this gorgeous, thick, natural hair. And so she was always on YouTube doing tutorials and things like that. So she developed her own hair care line formulated for textured hair, and she's doing really well, at least from the outside looking in. Like I said, we don't sell the brand at our store. We'd love to. So if you're listening, if anybody knows her, please let her know. We'd love to carry Melanin Hair Care. But her line's doing very well. I guess the question is, why aren't there as many brands created by Black influencers are as there are non-Black influencers? And why are the Black influencer led brands doing so well? And my answer would be because as a Black consumer and as a Black founder, I believe that our brands come from a place of like problem solving and necessity. And so the intention behind our brands is a lot different than the intention behind, maybe an Addison Rae's brand or a Jeffree Star's brand, and things like that. Like our brands are created out of necessity and purpose. They're very purpose driven. We're trying to solve for, my hair is, very kinky. I'm trying to solve for that. We can even bring it to, our store, Beauty Bees. We were trying to solve the issues of shopping for hair care at beauty supply. So we created, Beauty Bees, a more elevated beauty supply experience. Maybe Jackie Aina realized that there weren't any candles or wellness lines that spoke to her as a Black consumer. So that's why she created Forever Mood. And I know with her brand, she infuses a lot of her Nigerian culture into the smells and the naming of the candles and things like that. So that's kind of like what I'm guessing is the reason why, or the reason why Black influencer led brands are doing okay. Um, I don't know. I know there's some. I forget. I don't know if he's considered an influencer though. But like Dorian, he has Butter Skincare. That's doing really
Mm,
well. He's a
hmm.
model.
He's
I
on a
think he's
show.
gonna. Yeah, I was gonna say. I think he's gonna be on that show. I saw him. I was
I
like, oh
watched
my
it.
gosh. Oh, okay. Sidebar. Was it good or no? No.
I'm gonna keep watching it.
Okay. Only
I'm
one
gonna keep
episode has
watching
come out,
it.
right?
Yeah, it comes, and I like Drag Race too, so it comes on after Drag Race. So I
Okay.
combine those two as my Saturday morning watch shows. It was actually, I mean, it's gonna be messy. It's giving Real Housewives of, I don't know, like
WeHo.
Atlanta. WeHo
Really?
is giving, yeah, it's giving that type of mess. So I'm kind of here for it.
Okay. I'll probably watch
Um,
it.
you
But yeah,
should.
I forgot about him. But he's I guess you can kind of call him an influencer, even though like I know he models. He has like a model background. Um, and again, I'm speaking to influencer led brands. I'm not speaking to celebrity led brands because that's a whole nother conversation. We can get into that.
Right.
But there are some really successful celebrity brands out there. Pattern Beauty by Tracy Ellis Ross that are doing really well. And again, that were created out of a need, right? So I mean, that's my thoughts on it. There could be other reasons why, but I would like to say if non-black influencers are cashing in on this trend, I feel like
Black
brands
influencers should too.
definitely need to look at black influencers as well because um, their audiences are very loyal. And again, they create products out of necessity. Oftentimes the products are effective and they're filling a gap, they're filling a white space in the market. And, their audience, they create more of an affinity with their audience. That's my two
I
cents,
just hope
but I
that
digress.
black influencers aren't being overlooked because the big wigs think that they won't be able to market or pull in as vast of a turnover as say a non-black influencer would. So like I really hope that's not what the discussion is at the table. And if people are at the table of color, making sure to speak out and be like, no, like we also have this voice that can be used to bring in people who your brand probably isn't visible to, or just because
Hmm, hmm.
people think that this product isn't going to be able to be used by who we think our consumer is. Well, maybe you need to get a new consumer, or you need to get a diverse
Right.
variety of consumers, because it's not just selling to this one size fits all consumer that you're thinking that you're selling to, and they're probably failing because it's not, we don't see ourselves in these spaces. So it's like, I don't know how that's going to look on my skin, so I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it if
Right, right.
someone who doesn't look like me isn't promoting it. So I'm not
Right.
going to
And I
spend
think
my
that speaks
hard-earned
to
coin.
the Tarte that speaks to the Tarte trip because one thing I noticed, I'm like, where are the black girls? There was like
Mm-hmm.
maybe one mixed race girl there. But and then I'm thinking, first of all, I've never even purchased a Tarte product in my life.
I have.
Um Second of all, for the girls who have purchased, why are they ignoring you? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm just like, this trip could have been a lot more inclusive than like that's my
Mm-hmm.
only take on like negative on it because I mean when it talk about budget and money, like I feel like these brands have crazy budgets and we don't even know like they probably spent half of what they usually spend on this trip. But I'm like, where's the diversity? And then I'm like, maybe I don't know because I'm not a Tarte consumer, but does Tarte have inclusive products? You know, I don't
I
know. I just
really
thought
only
that was
get the
very
concealer. I That's
Okay,
that's
yeah.
the only concealer
So
that
they have it in
seems to
your,
work.
and you like it. They have it in your range. Do you think that their colors are diverse and inclusive? Their shades?
If we're comparing to a Fenty or a Estee Lauder or spaces where we can know for sure our color will be there, no. But like I said,
Okay.
I'm also using it as a concealer, so it's not going over my entire face, so the match doesn't have to
Right.
be spot on. But I wish I had it on today, but content is king.
You
But
still look beautiful.
oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think I think I think just there's a shift in the industry happening, and I can't say that the influencer marketing is dead because it's still alive and well. I think the conversation more is, can their brains be brand their own brands be as sustainable as the brands that they represent? Um, Over the past couple of years, I mean, a lot of these influencers have sold out products. I mean, I remember the Peter Thomas Roth firming eye cream went viral. Was it last year or year before last? Everyone was doing like videos of like showing that their under eye was like puffing up, or the puff was going away, one of those things. But it went viral on TikTok. Then of course we have the Miel hair oil controversy we talked about last week, and then you have the Revlon volcanic stone roller, and the list goes on and on. Like these people actually do persuade their audience, their viewers to buy things, but I think um everything is just becoming too promotional now, and so viewers are trying to decide like the real from the fake. Like, do you really like this product, or are you just talking about the product because the brand is paying you or the brand sent it to you?
That's
And
why I could
I
never
got to thinking
be
about
an
like,
influencer.
right? Okay, why couldn't you be
I
an influencer? I know why
because
I can't, but I'm curious to know like why can't you?
I'm pretty sure it's the same because I would tell the truth. Like I feel like the
Right,
influencers say that they're telling the truth, but at the end of the day, when you're looking at that bag or whatever compensation you're gonna get, they're like, oh, I'm about to lie. I can do it. I'm not gonna tell you. Even at Beauty Beast, I know that this is our pride and joy, but I'm not gonna send someone out the door with something that I know isn't going to work on their hair. That's not doing you any
right,
justice. That's just putting
not
money
at
in
all.
our pockets. It's like, no, that's not the type of person that I am. I can't with good conscience know that I've sold someone something shitty and it's not going to do anything for them. Sorry.
Right. And sometimes it's not even shitty. It's just not the product for you and what your concerns are,
Right.
right? Because like
Right.
we have brands at our store that are for specific hair types. So it's like, if someone has fine, thin hair, like I'm not going to tell them to get like a Talia Wajid moisturizer because Talia Wajid is known to be a bit thicker. It's better for, a 4C thick hair. And so again, it doesn't always have to be a bad product, but maybe it's not right for you. And so, like, sometimes you'll see these, influencers. I mean, everything works well on their skin, and it's just like, no, not really. It doesn't work well on everybody's skin, and that's the issue with a lot of these products, especially these influencer-led products, because they're making people believe that it can work for everyone. And at the end of the
Mm-hmm.
day, I don't know any product that works well for
For
every hair type,
everybody.
every skin type, every
Right.
concern or whatever. So, yeah, I couldn't be an influencer just because I don't think I have the time. Like, it is a lot of work. Like, these girls and guys work their asses off to create beautiful content. And I've tried it and I can do it, but it literally take me a week to edit to shoot a video, edit it and post it and think of a caption at the same time. So like
Not the
they are working around the clock to bring us good content. and so I respect the hustle, like, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but I think as the consumer again is getting savvier, they're kind of questioning it all. Um uh, what do we want? Okay, so we have I was on a tangent earlier, but I was going to bring up our strategy on influencers, because I feel like it's very topical since we're talking about influencers and influencer marketing and influencer led brands. So, like I said earlier, we have Curl Days, which is an influencer led brand that's doing very well at our store. But in terms of our like influencer marketing strategy, I've gone back and forth on this a lot, and Jessica can attest to this because part of me wanted to, do an influencer part of me wanted to do an influencer marketing program. And basically, for those that are unaware, this is kind of what a lot of influencers, or how a lot of influencers get their products. A brand contacts them, hey, I like what you're doing. Your audience looks like ours. Can we send you some product, and can you post about it? And oh, by the way, can we, pay you X fee? And sometimes the influencer will come back and with a rate sheet already in place. So we flirted with this idea a few times, but I've kind of backed away from it because, again, we're talking about the consumer, right? And what that the consumer is savvier now than they were 5 years ago when this was the new wave. And also we have to look at our budget, right? We just talked about Tarte having probably $1 million plus budget to fly their influencers out. We do not have that budget. And I do believe in paying influencers. If you're not going to, fly them out to this great experience, I do believe that they're working hard to create content for a brand and to sell a brand's products. And it's only right for that brand to then compensate them for that in money and not necessarily product. So it didn't align with, what our marketing goals and marketing dollars were. But in the same breath, I will say I backed away from that because we are a great brand. We have a great store. We have a great product. And because of that, we already get influencers shopping at our store, right? Buying our product, buying into our brand, and posting about us. And I do think that speaks volumes to, um, why we exist. And we were created because of a need in the industry in Black beauty. And that's kind of like where my head is at right now. Not to say that it's going to always be that way, but we get a lot of just free promotion and free publicity from the influencers that shop at our store. I don't even know that they're influencers. I am so not caught up on who's hot, who's
At
not.
all.
And so, like, sometimes our employees, when a guest leaves, they'll be like, oh, that was so and so. And I'm like, who was so and so? You don't know so and so? And then I'll look them up and I'm like, oh, that's so and so. And then, am I lying? Like, isn't that how it goes?
9 times out of 10. Or we'll get a text message, oh, so and so. And me and Brittany are both Googling or
Googling,
on
like, who?
Instagram, like, who? Who is just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
always very interesting to see. And and I think because it's so authentic, they're literally coming in because they need just beauty supplies for their whatever videos they're posting, or what, it's just them coming in, and they mention in a video or on a TikTok reel or on an Instagram reel, oh, I got this at Beauty Bees, and they'll pan the store or give us a shout out, which is always so grateful. We're always so grateful for that. But it's just like, I like it because it is super authentic, and it's not coming from a place of, oh,
Being
you have to do
promotional.
this, right?
Right.
It never feels like a promotion. It never feels like it's something that's forced. So I think I like this way a lot better. Before, when we tried to do the influencer program, it just didn't, I don't know, it just didn't
It felt
feel. It
forced,
didn't feel. It felt forced. It did feel
and we
forced, and I
and I
was
will say the when we started the program, we started it based on the influencers who were already shopping at our store. You know what I mean? So it
right.
wasn't like
Yeah,
us cold calling a lot of influencers, and we did some of that, but the ones that responded and the ones that we developed a relationship with were already existing customers. And so
right.
Jessica speaks to a really good point, like that authenticity resonates more with our consumer than paid post, paid promotional gigs and stuff like that. So I think kind of that's why, again, this could shift in another year or two, but for where we are right now, I think just developing these like authentic relationships with our influencers and our customers is kind of working for us presently.
Agreed.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's the show in a nutshell. We're gonna first of all, I want to say influencer marketing is here to stay. Um, and again, I think in certain industries, it may work better than others. And again, we are influenced in other ways, not just beauty. Jessica said she would cook dinner based on maybe a food blogger that she's following, or I might try a new workout based on a fitness, girly that I'm following. So we are all influenced in different ways. I think just different industries are responding to it differently, and it'll be interesting to see where the shift goes, right? Because I
Yeah,
think today's consumer is wiser, more conscious, and not here for, all the glitz and glam. They want a product, especially our consumer, the Black consumer wants a product that works, that's effective, maybe that's clean, maybe that has a good story behind it. And so it'll be interesting to see how the beauty industry responds to this sudden shift in influencer marketing, influencer led brands. And I'm excited to see like what's to come, like what's going to be the new wave, like how are we going to get people to purchase and build an affinity for a brand. um and honestly, that's what I'm also trying to do at Beauty Bees. I know community is very important for our consumer, and it's just figuring out different ways to build around that. So I guess I'll leave it there. Anything else you want to add, Jess?
shop at Beauty Bees. We're here. We are influencers on the Kingston Beauty podcast.
We are becoming our own influencer, even if we're influencing
Right.
5 people. It's a start.
It is a start. Like, hey, you got to start somewhere. You got to crawl before you walk.
Alex
I did
Alex
feel
Earl
like an
started
influencer this
somewhere.
morning. Girl, in her cradle. She's a child.
With a very interesting story. You should research her. Like her stepmom is like the former prostitute for Elliot Spitzer. It was very interesting.
What?
I feel like they all, yeah, I feel like they all have some. Even Addison Rae, I think she's going through some things with her family. But yeah. So also please follow Jessica and myself if you want to be influenced further, because we are on the rise, and
On
we're
our
gonna be
social
bringing
medias?
yes, we're gonna be bringing a lot of content your way. My my
Uh,
my handle is at @b_middle_. Jess, what's your handle?
at Jessica area with 1A.
Okay, perfect. Be sure to follow Kingston Beauty. We have some really good content. Our assistant Abby does some really good posts about like stories and things, well, stories and posts about things that are going on, in the industry, beauty, Black culture, being a woman in general. So our IG handle is at Kinks in Beauty, the letter N, and follow us online or on Instagram at Beauty Bee Store. We're on Instagram at Beauty Bee Store, and we are on Twitter at Beauty Bee Store, and we are on Facebook at Beauty Bee Store. And then one more plug: shop us online at bdbs.com. Or visit us in the store in North Hollywood. 6522 Laurel Canyon Boulevard is our address. And we will
Pull
see you
up
guys
on
next.
me.
Thanks again for
Bye,
stopping by
guys.
and listening to us. Y'all have a great weekend.
Bye. Oh my God, these legs are